Good afternoon, everyone, for folks here on Eastern Time, and good morning to those joining us on other time zones. It's 1 o'clock here on Eastern Time, so we'll let people come on in and get settled. But before we get going on our VITA-Train journey together, I want to spend a little time and do a little bit of a chat icebreaker. So what you're going to see now is a poll, really just about gauging your familiarity with the VITA-Train. This will be year 4 of our train-based adventure. So yeah, I'm excited to hear a little bit more about it. So answer the poll while you come on in, and then we'll get started in just a few. Thank you so much. All right, everyone. Thanks for participating in that little icebreaker activity. We'll close the poll here and then share out the results. It looks like we have about a 50-50 spread on folks familiar with the VITA-Train, and that's really great to hear. It's always nice to see new faces, new passengers on the VITA-Train, so to speak. So we'll stop sharing the poll now, and then I'll talk you through a little bit about the VITA-Train. But in the meantime, I'm going to share a little bit of a welcome and some housekeeping rules. My name is Justin Choo. I am a program manager on the Ecosystems Change team here at Prosperity Now. And I want to talk you through a little bit of some of our housekeeping rules. So to encourage candor, this webinar will be recorded, but we will think about spreading it to folks broadly in our network. In addition, all webinar attendees are muted to ensure sound quality. And we'll be sure to ask, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them at any time in the GoToWebinar control panel. And if you have any questions and you want to participate into our conversation, on the next slide, there's a way for you to be unmuted to join the conversation here. If you want to be unmuted, you have to set your option to phone call, use the dial-in number, and enter your audio PIN. The audio PIN is a 2 to 3 digit unique PIN to you, and that'll allow us to mute and unmute you. So when you want to join the conversation, we'll be able to bring you in. If you have any questions, feel free to do the raised hand, and then we'll be able to unmute you and you can join the conversation. Otherwise, if you feel more comfortable, feel free to pursue any questions you have in the chat box. I want to spend a little bit of time just quickly framing the conversation, and this will just be an overview of what the VITA-Train is and what you can expect going forward. And then I want to spend about 5 to 10 minutes just doing a quick overview again of the VITA-Train, its functions and features, but I want to devote the majority of our conversation here today as a product tour and Q&A session. So these are going to be, if you're familiar with any sort of video game dev works, I will be guiding through the VITA-Train, and then if you have any questions, feel free to talk me through anything, and we can just click through and have a little fun poking around on the software. So on the next slide, I want to just talk you through a little bit on the VITA-Train. Before we share anything, I want to provide some big thanks and acknowledgements to the folks who helped make the VITA-Train possible. For our Prosperity Now staff, that's myself, Graham O'Neill, and Rebecca Thompson, who are key contributors to the work that we get done. But realistically, this work would not be possible without the contributions of folks in the field who helped volunteer to make updates and make sure that our PowerPoints and our slides and all the other materials were up to date for this filing season and for all the exciting things that we'll talk a little bit more about at the end of the conversation. So big thanks to Bonnie, Brad, Brent, Chris, Desmond, Evelyn, Katie, Matt, Patty, Stephen, and Tamara for all of the work that they were able to put in for the past month or so. On the next slide, I'll talk a little bit more about the VITA-Train structure. So the primary bulk of the VITA-Train will be down the right side of this diagram. It's going to just be a 10-module plug-and-play system to help certify your volunteers in both the basic and advanced level topics. So these modules are based on different affinity topics. So that's going to be, the first module is around intake, interview, and quality review. So those are your basics, your welcome to VITA, and all that kind of stuff. The second one is on filing status and dependence, and so on and so forth. So they're based on the specific topic rather than the items are divided in both basic and advanced tax law. So what we wanted this to be designed to do is integrate into your training software wherever you see fit. So if you think, oh, it'd be great to have our volunteers learn a little bit about VITA on their own time, sort of asynchronously, you can go to module 1 and boom, that is a way for them to get up to date on the standards of conduct, what they need to do to certify, et cetera, et cetera. Or if you have a large population of returning volunteers who just want to make sure they get the cliff notes on what is coming up for the next filing season, they can go to module 10, which will talk them through the what's new for returning volunteers. And that'll take them through the new numbers, the new structure, especially when it comes to the changes in the tax credits, given that we are seeing the child tax credit going from fully refundable back to its traditional status. In these modules, they are both PowerPoint and PDF formats. Again, these are designed to be taken asynchronously. So however you want to do them is entirely up to you. So we have them in the most flexible formats as possible. In addition, these materials include supplemental materials built into the PowerPoints as well as the web page to help guide your volunteers through any particular forms or things they need to know for those topics. So again, using module 1 as our primary example, we have the publication 4012, the 4491. So these are the things that people need to do to get a sense of the topic in all its complexities. And our final thing is we have Dear Iris currently. These are our from our steering committee member, Brad Martin of United Way of Southwest Alabama, put together these fun Dear Abby style advice columns that tackle a myriad of tax prep issues and topics. So what you can do is if you go to our website, and I'll show you a little bit more about them, it'll have both the question and the answer to them. So you can encourage them however you you can use them in however you want for your training. You can encourage your volunteers to work in small groups. You can encourage your site coordinators to just maybe send out a few letters after every training as sort of a homework or refresher. They can send out to the volunteers, and the volunteers can return with the answers, and then you can review them as a way to stay engaged outside of the training process. And our final thing, as you can see here on the chart, will just be around practice questions. These are still in development. They are going to be a series of practice questions and scenarios developed by folks here in the field that we're going to implement onto our website, so you can use them if you don't want to develop your own practice questions or your own practice returns or your own samples and scenarios. This will be something that you can incorporate into your own training. Please keep an eye out on your inbox for more information on that. But that is the rough structure of the entirety of the VITA-Train. On the next slide, I have a few FAQs and yes, so before we dive on into the FAQs, I have a question here from Barb. About how long is each module? Each module varies. The shortest ones are about 20 or so slides, and the longest one is about 75 slides. So they vary just purely based on the topic. For example, the filing status and dependence one is a little bit shorter than the income one, for example, just based on the amount of different topics that need to be covered in the income state on the income side compared to the filing status and dependence. I would suggest, if you're trying to create an estimate of timing, the reading through each PowerPoint should take roughly half an hour for your volunteers to read on their own. Obviously, on teaching, you can teach it at whatever pace you want, but I would suggest, reading it would be about half an hour per slide. Going back to the other FAQs, what levels does the VITA-Train certify? Like I said before, it's basic and advanced level certification, and there's also a returning volunteers module. So we do not cover military or foreign student. So those are the two types of certifications that we don't cover, just to keep it as broad as possible. Does this replace the Lincoln Learn certification? No. Your volunteers will still need to complete the Lincoln Learn certification, and it's the same as it would be every other year, but this is designed to be a modular additional supplement to your training work. Is it okay to take out bits and pieces of this training for my program? Of course. Like I said, it's designed to be incorporated however you want. Downloaded content, you can send it out to your volunteers, you can send it out to your staff and other stakeholders, you can send out emails, social media messages, however you think would be most useful. That is how we want it to be demonstrated to you. Now, if you have any questions on the VITA-Train or anything in particular, you can always email the TON team at taxpayeropportunity@prosperitynow.org, and we'll be more than happy to help out. Obviously, if you want to reach out to me directly, you can find my email on the website, and we can talk more then. I got another question here from Alicia, which is, are the modules updated every year? Yes, they are designed to be, hopefully at least, updated every year. So on the VITA-Train webpage, you'll be able to find a little bit more information on the updates and the archived materials for the past VITA-Train. So if you are doing a lot of past season returns, you can go directly to the VITA-Train module for each tax year, and then that'll take you through all the materials you need. That is a great question. All right, I'm going to now take control of the work so I can take you through a little bit about the VITA-Train. So again, like the way I have this designed, I'm going to talk through the VITA-Train webpage, And then from there, we can do a little bit of product testing and getting a sense of if you have any questions and the look and feel of it. Before we do anything else, I'm going to share out to everyone the link to the VITA-Train. Just typing it out, so that's why. You should check your chat box now, and that'll take you a direct link to the VITA-Train, so you can play along as well as explore while I do this demonstration. So I'm going to share my screen now. Does everyone see the VITA-Train modules? I realize I'm asking the question, but I can't see everyone's responses. Yes, perfect. Thank you, Julio. So the way the VITA-Train is operated, it is hosted on the Prosperity Now website. At Prosperity Now, we have a great website for all your materials, for resources on tax prep, as well as the other pillars of our work. As a result of it being hosted on the Prosperity Now website, it comes with its own particularities and design quirks. So keep that in mind, but we also want to keep it in-house so you can keep it free to use and easy to access for our lovely field. So when you enter the Prosperity Now VITA-Train website, you'll see here you're greeted by a hero image. And on this right side, you have a banner that is called the VITA-Train cars. And each of the VITA-Train cars has a hyperlink that'll take you directly to each of the modules. So it has modules 1 through 10. And in addition, it'll have the caboose, which is just deals specifically with tax extenders. This one's a little more complicated, so the update schedule on the extenders will be broken up probably sometime if the end of this year, maybe sometime early next year. So keep that in mind. In addition, on this right side menu, we have the acknowledgements page, as well as the module package page, our Dear Iris letters, our archived VITA-Train materials, and then getyourrefund.org training materials. These are the training materials from our great friends at Code for America to help, share the word on getyourrefund.org if you want to be involved in that program. We can talk a little more about that later, but that is basically the primary form of navigation you will take. Will be entering the VITA-Train web page and then navigating on this right side menu. So I'm going to take you through right now module 1. So what you do is when you click on module 1, it'll direct you to the module 1 page. Module 1 is intake, interview, and quality review. Each page will be oriented in the same way. So at the top will just be a little bit of introduction to what the module is, right? This module will cover intake, interview, and quality review, then volunteer standards of conduct, quality site requirements, and it'll help you be prepared to pass the VSOC test, as well as the other tests that come with a very basic level of VITA certification. And then it'll talk about the topics covered. And then the real meat of the module will come in the module section. So in the module section, you have both the PowerPoint and PDF version. So if you click on the PowerPoint version, it'll download it basically to your computer, and so you can open it in Microsoft PowerPoint. But for the sake of this demonstration and not having to open up another application, we're going to open it up in PDF form. So when I click on the PDF form, it'll take me to the PDF version of the application. So as you can see here, module 1 has 62 slides, and you can use the navigation bar on the left to direct it, or if you go to each module will have its own series of jump links, so your volunteers can take, they can use those as mile markers, basically to get a sense of where they are. So for example, if your volunteer finishes the welcome to VITA section, the intake section, they want to go straight to talk to the taxpayer, they can click on the jump link and it'll direct them directly to Talk to the Taxpayer section on the module. And so, like I said, the modules are designed to be taken asynchronously and read out fully to help guide your volunteers on what they need to know. We work to make sure that all the material is robust without being too cumbersome. What we've heard in the past is that some training materials can be too layered, too complicated for things that don't necessarily come up at the tax preparation process. So what we want to do is really streamline that to make it as easy on you as possible. And so that's basically the entire look of all of the modules. But so once you are completed, again, each module will also have its own specific links throughout them, so you can go straight to other materials and supplements, and your volunteers can stay engaged in some of the other works that are being done. But once your volunteers are done with this module, the primary form of navigation, again, this is part of some of the quirks of the Prosperity Now website, is the primary way to navigate back if you have a lot of tabs open. I've put at the very bottom of every single module the homepage for the VITA-Train. So that'll always be the first thing that volunteers can see. Is under related resources will be the VITA-Train. And the other thing they'll see is the associated module that will succeed the previous one. So from this case, module 1 will take you to module 2. Once you go to module 2, if we scroll all the way again to the bottom, you have the VITA-Train homepage, and then to the right of the VITA-Train homepage link is module 3. So that is the rough orientation of how we expect volunteers to use this process and use this page. Obviously, like I said, it's entirely up to you how you plan on using it, but this is also will be crucial for you in navigating the website. We had a question before about modules being updated each year. I can take you to the archived VITA-Train materials. So when we click on the archived VITA-Train materials, it'll take you to a Dropbox link. Again, due to the fun nuances of the Prosperity Now website, Dropbox was the most efficient way to upload all of the work. So in the VITA-Train materials Dropbox slot, you can see the 2019, 2020, and 2021 materials. To be specific, these are tax year 2019, 2020, and 2021. So if you click on, for example, 2020, you can see the breakdown of each module. We previously had 12 modules. We streamlined them down to 10, which is why this has 12 modules. But you can click on whatever module you want, and then it'll take you through to all of the PDF versions of each of the modules, and as well as any sort of recording or additional materials that we did for the VITA-Train in the past. And that should about cover it. Actually, before I pivot, I realized I forgot to mention the Dear Iris letters and the module package. I'll start with the Dear Iris letters. Again, on this page, we have Dear Iris, again, provided by Brad from United Way of Southwest Alabama, a key member in the TON space, as well as the community tax prep field as a whole. So on this page, we have our table of contents, which will outline all of the letters and what topics they cover. For example, the 16th letter is always learning one way or another, and this topic deals with the lifetime learning credit. And what you can do is if you click on the Dear Iris Student Edition, that'll take you to a Microsoft Word document format of it, and that'll contain all of the letters without any answers from Iris. So these will be the question sheets that you can use with your volunteers. And we kept it in the Word format so you can have them interact with it virtually. PDF wouldn't necessarily have that in spades unless you wanted to print them. But if there is any particular notions on adding in PDF, we can do that as well. But the teacher version is this. Again, it's in Microsoft Documents. This document contains the letters with answers from Iris. So this will be your answer sheet for your trainers, your site coordinators, etc. And then we'll go back to the VITA-Train homepage. The final thing I want to take you through is the module package. The module package is a zip file that contains every single presentation of the VITA-Train in both PowerPoint and PDF format. So you can see here, it's the full breakdown of all of the modules and their associated topics. What you can do is if you hit the download button, it'll download them all in a zip file. And what you'll need to do is unzip the file on whatever OS you have, whatever operating system you have. And then you can download all of them, utilize all of them without having to click through every single module. We decided, if you wanted to use all 10, this is the most efficient way for you to get all 10. And that about does it. I appreciate everyone for letting me talk at you for about 25 minutes. And I'm looking forward to having any questions you may have. I see here, Joyce, you have your hand up. I'm going to unmute you now, and we can have some time to talk about it. Joyce? All right, we'll move on from Joyce. I have Karen here. Karen, you have your hand raised. I'm going to unmute you. And if you have any questions to share, please do share them. All right, nothing from Karen, but that's all right. If you have any questions, please do put them in the question box. And yes, I see here someone has their hand raised. I'm going to unmute you now, and you can share your question. Looks like you're on mute. I just unmuted you, but you are currently on mute.
Hello.
Hi, what's your question?
My question is when the certification exam will be available?
The certification exam, that will be specific to IRS Lincoln Learn. We don't have a full answer for that. Yes, I have a question here from T, and the question is: Are these modules updated for the most recent tax year, 2022, to be filed starting in January 2023? Yes, that is a great question. I was in my excitement, I completely forgot to mention this is in fact updated for 2022, so you can use them starting in January 2023. So yes, they're updated as fully for the 2022 tax season. And to answer your question, I see here the tests are available today from both Kenny and Megan. And another question here, the way to access the modules is you go to the website, which is prosperitynow.org/vita-train. Again, I'm going to put that in the chat for everyone. This is the primary way to do that. So if you want to bookmark it or use a link shortener, I would highly recommend you do that. But again, it is prosperitynow.org/vita-train. Yes, you can send the link directly to your tax preparers Linda, sorry, I realized you had your hand raised, but yes, to answer your question, we can send it directly to your tax preparers. Doris, to answer your question, this is not live training. This is designed to be asynchronous. So it's purely a passive training. So your volunteers can learn on their own time, or you can send it to them, but there is no specific guidance or live training element associated with it. Gabby, that is a great question around joining. There is no particular join feature or function. This is entirely free, entirely, there's no login, no password, nothing you need to remember. All you need to do is just simply go to the web page and access the module training, and you'll be able to go through from there. Yes, Janet, the modules are updated right now as of today for the 2022 tax season. Roxanne, that is a great question on if these modules will be updated, if there are any legislative changes. If there are some big ones, they will be updated. But if it's something like extenders, you know, for in the past, the residential energy home heating credit, that would just be added to the caboose, which is our tax extenders training. But if obviously there's anything big that passes, in the meantime, we'll be sure to update them as best we can. Thank you for your question. Yeah, sorry, I just realized I put them in the wrong order. Yes, Christy, that is a great question. We are hoping, Christy asks about sample returns. We are hoping to have them updated before everyone leaves for the winter holidays. That obviously will depend on a myriad of factors, but we are planning on having those done before the winter holidays and everyone goes off to drink hot cocoa or do whatever is associated with those holidays. Yes, Sohari, I see here someone has their hand raised. Mohan has their hand raised. I'm going to unmute you, Mohan.
Hi, I actually just typed in my question. Basically, it's for those who need a little bit more hand-holding, who feel a little bit uncomfortable with the asynchronous training. Would you have any sort of videos or something they could follow a person teaching?
That is a great question, Mohan. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to find a way to do those video capabilities. What we've done in the past is done recordings of me reading through all the presentations, but not a full training, so to speak. Unfortunately, we don't have the capacity here at Prosperity Now. Trust me, my video editing skills are extremely rudimentary. To get them in some sort of live training, it's unfortunate, but we'll be sure to try to get those in the future. And if we have anything that changes in the meantime, we'll be sure to update the field on that because it's some pretty exciting stuff. But as of right now, Mohan, we do not have any sort of live training, unfortunately. Thanks for your question.
Okay, thank you for your answer.
All right. I see here Betty has a question. Betty, I'm going to unmute you.
Okay, thank you. Actually, I just wanted to mention we have in the past used the materials for our live training. We did that last year and it saved me from having to make up and update my own slides. And instead, I was able to do my live training utilizing the VITA-Train material. So people may want to consider doing that if they have a trainer involved. And thanks for providing all this. It's been very helpful to us.
Of course, Betty. We're glad to help out. I'm going to unmute Jeanette. And Jeanette, what's your question?
It's not a question. There was somebody who said if it is a videos, if they go to practice lab, there's a section that has all those videos. They can use that.
Great, that's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. That is a really helpful point. And yeah, I'm going to answer Bonnie's question here, which is if we download the entire set and then you do a major change, how will we know? We'll probably have to send out an email about it to the entirety of the Taxpayer Opportunity Network list, and we'll also probably make a note of it on the top of the header page. Again, hopefully there's not major changes because this is, you know, it would be fairly disruptive, obviously, but you never really know with the way tax law changes these days. So yeah, if you download the whole set, I can't guarantee that there won't be any changes. I can hope not, but we'll be sure to keep it updated here on the VITA-Train page, as well as any communications we send out externally to our partners. All right, no problem. And I'm just scrolling through here. I apologize. We got a lot of questions today. I'm really excited that there's a lot of movement to talk about VITA-Train and all that good stuff. Yeah, Juan has a great question around state returns. We do not do state returns just because of the level of complexity around it, unfortunately. But we have looked at exploring those in the past, and we have a few state level tax resources, but they have not been fully updated or pursued for this filing season, unfortunately. So keep an eye out, Juan, for anything, but that's hopefully that answers your question. I'm gonna unmute Sarah, and yeah, Sarah, you're also self-muted if you want to share anything. All right, I'm gonna go back to Mohan. Mohan?
Hi, yes, thank you. Right after me, somebody mentioned the practice lab videos. Are these on the IRS website, or where can they be accessed? I believe it was the next person after me, or the one thereafter.
Yes, the practice lab is accessed via TaxSlayer. So if you use TaxSlayer, yes, that'll be the practice lab we're speaking of.
Oh, I see. Okay, got it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mohan. All right. Yes, Sarah Fowler from Arkansas. Great to see you again, Sarah. Asks about contacts for state trainings. We ask around a particular question. You can feel free to shoot me an email, and we can ask around. Oh, sorry, Lincoln Learn, not TaxSlayer. Thanks, Bonnie. I've got training on the brain, but sometimes you misspeak. So thank you so much. Bonnie clarifies, again, the videos are accessed through Lincoln Learn, not TaxSlayer. And we have a comment in the chat from our IRS representative, Don, who says that Lincoln Learn is on schedule to be released by the end of November. So keep an eye out for a full update on Lincoln Learn and all of its great offerings for the end of November. Keep in touch with TON, keep in touch with your IRS relationship manager, and all that stuff. Oh, right. Sorry, Lincoln Learn is open. Thank you, Ronald. Yeah, juggling a lot of different things, but yeah, that is great to know. In the meantime, while we let questions settle in, I want to talk a little bit about the future of VITA-Train and some of the things we're hoping to add on during the filing season. The first thing is we're going to offer a full Spanish, Latin American, and Puerto Rican Spanish translation of all the modules in the VITA-Train. So that is modules 1 through 10 will be translated into both Latin American and Puerto Rican Spanish. We hope to have those again released by the winter holidays. So if you have any Spanish speaking volunteers or those who want to certify in Spanish, they can approach that. So keep an eye out for that level, and we'll have that released again, hopefully before the winter holidays. This is a big step for Prosperity Now. We hope to reach new demographics and new levels of volunteers. So again, if you have any volunteers who fit into this demographic, feel free to send that over to them, but we'll have that updated, yes. And we also have a Puerto Rican certification upcoming. Obviously, this depends on the speed in which certain materials are updated and things like that. But if you have any volunteers who are interested in certifying in Puerto Rican taxes, that certification will hopefully be up in the near future, and that will also be translated directly into Puerto Rican Spanish. So if you have a large population of people who reach the bona fide resident status of Puerto Rico in your community, this will be a great opportunity to certify in that, or at least to get the ins and outs of Puerto Rican taxes and certification levels. All right, I've done a lot of talking, and I'm looking forward to any questions. I see here, Judith, you have your hands raised. I'm going to unmute you now, Judith. Judith, it looks like you are still self-muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Oh, I just heard him. I thought I heard the man say that Lincoln Learn won't be available until the end of November, but if I wanted to start learning it now, can I use Lincoln Learn?
Yes, it is open. I misspoke. I apologize.
Oh, so it's open now to go through the modules to learn the information.
Mm-hmm. And the VITA-Train is open. So if you want to go to the VITA-Train, that is also open. That's, yeah.
Okay, about how long would you say it takes to go through the Lincoln Learn?
I don't know. It would probably, it's not going to be supremely short just based on the amount of content that is in it. I unfortunately can't give you a complete approximation just because of the different levels that are in it. Maybe 15 hours.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that's okay.
So like in a couple of weeks, I should be able to do it.
Yeah, I'm not sure of your question, Judith. Could you rephrase that or reframe it?
Well, if I'm spending like a couple of hours a day on Lincoln Learn, do you think in a couple of weeks I could be able to have completed it?
Yeah. In my
Yes.
estimation, based on, you know, reading speeds and all that kind of stuff, yes.
Okay. And all the information is there in order to pass the basic and then the advanced tests.
Yes. It'll depend on your pace and all that kind of stuff, but it's difficult to make an approximation, but yes, all the materials are there.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Oh, well, I don't know. I had attended another training last week given by TCC or something, the VITA but
Mm-hmm.
they had said I could write to them to get connected up with an organization, and I did, and nobody got back to me. Maybe I should just write to them again,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm right now not affiliated with an organization.
Yeah, why don't you reach out to us here at TON, which is, you can reach out to us at taxpayeropportunity@prosperitynow.org, and we can get you set up.
Okay, with a local organization.
We'll talk through that.
Okay. All
Thank you,
right,
Judith.
thanks.
All right, I'll go to Alphonse now. Alphonse?
Yes, it is just a mistake because I didn't really have a question and I was kind of checking all around, clicking and see, and then I wanted to reach the trainings screen that was behind this, and I hit this by mistake. So
That is all right. That is all right, Alphonse. Thanks.
I'm sorry.
We're happy to hear your voice regardless. I'm gonna move on to Victoria now. Victoria, if you have a question, you're self-muted. All right, we'll move on to Maria. Maria.
Oh, hi.
Yes.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, okay, perfect. I have a question regarding the meeting that you have tomorrow. This is part 2, but is it the same meeting or is it different as the one that we had today?
I'm not entirely sure what you're referencing.
It says site coordinator training session for 2023 filing season part 2.
Yes, that is. No, this is something a little bit different. This is a Prosperity Now related training on our specific VITA training material. You are talking about something hosted by IRS Spec, so the materials are different.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Yes, great. Perfect. Thank you everyone in the chat for jumping in. Mary, Bonnie, that is great. I'm going to take one more question from Alpha, and then just sort of wrap us up from this conversation. If there's not anything else burning. Alpha.
Thank you, Justin. This is a great presentation. My audio kind of blanked out when you started to talk about Spanish versions of VITA-Train and a Puerto Rican tax module. Can you just restate what you were sharing?
Of course. The Spanish level translation. So basically what we'll have is we'll have a Latin American and Puerto Rican translated set of VITA-Train modules. So that is like all of the basic VITA-Train modules from 1 through 10 will be translated into both of these different Spanish dialects. In addition, we're offering a Puerto Rican certification, which will be translated specifically into Puerto Rican Spanish. That'll cover the specifics for Puerto Rican certification. Depending on cost, we'll see if we get that translated into Latin American Spanish, but obviously for Puerto Rican certification, the priority is Puerto Rican Spanish.
Great, thank you. And can you restate the URL link for the VITA-Train? You state prosperitynow.org.
Yes.
Then I lost what that was, the rest of it.
The link is prosperitynow.org/VITA-train. Or if you can't find it or anything, you can search VITA-Train. We're the first one up there. I checked. So that should get you directly where you need to go. And then again, I recommend bookmarking it and doing all that stuff. Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. I have one more question here from Don from the IRS. Hope I'm not in trouble. Don, you're self-muted.
Hey, Justin, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Yeah, sorry for the confusion on Link and Learn. Link and Learn is up right now, and it has training modules on there, but it has not been updated for 2023 filing season certification test. So you're free to use it, and it has some training modules that are helpful, but the certification tests have not been uploaded, and that was what I was suggesting that should be ready by the end of November. So I just wanted to clarify that, yes, you can go into Link and Learn and start using it for training purposes, but the certification tests have not been updated yet, and we are still hopeful that they will be up there by the end of November. So back to you, Justin.
Great. Thanks so much, Don. I appreciate Don, as always, being our liaison with the IRS and all of the great work that they do. I know that I pester Don with a lot of questions throughout the filing season and beyond, so appreciate you for clarifying that information. All right, I'm going to wrap us up here. This has been a really helpful webinar and really insightful, and I'm really glad to have all your questions. If you have anything else, feel free to shoot us an email, or you can find me on the Prosperity Now website and we can talk a little more about that then. But if you want to approach the team directly, again, that email is taxpayeropportunity@prosperitynow.org. But before you go, and if you have any thoughts or questions about what the Taxpayer Opportunity Network is, I realize I spent a lot of time talking about it, not a lot of time explaining it. So the Taxpayer Opportunity Network is a network of community tax prep advocates, stakeholders, and practitioners hosted by Prosperity Now, the organization having this call right now. And what we do is we convene the community tax prep field together to share best practices, learn together, and develop resources like the VITA-Train that we just spoke about for about the past 45 minutes. So that is what the Taxpayer Opportunity Network does. And if you are really engaged in the Taxpayer Opportunity Network and want to stay more up to date on what is happening in the tax prep space, you can feel free to join us with this link I'm going to put in the chat, which is prosperitynow.org/get-involved/community. This is the primary way for you to get involved with us to join the Taxpayer Opportunity Network, as well as our other affinity networks. Or if you want to stay really up to date with the latest and greatest in tax prep, and you want to join your fellow VITA practitioner experts, we highly encourage you to join the Tax Roundtable listserv, which is taxroundtable.groups.io, and you can join our listserv, which will send you messages from tax prep folks from all across the country. Again, that link is taxroundtable.groups.io, and that will take you directly into the Tax Roundtable listserv. Other than that, I appreciate everyone for taking the time to join this conversation. This webinar, again, will be recorded, and you'll be able to access them within 1 week. Keep an eye out on your inbox. Since you registered, you should be the first ones to find out about the next thing that is coming up on the radar. Other than that, we have a bunch of webinars coming up, including the tax law updates webinar. If you are interested in what's going to happen in the tax law updates space, feel free to join that webinar. That's going to happen next month. Keep an eye on your inbox, and you'll find a little bit more about that. Other than that, I thank you all for joining, and I hope you have a lovely day.